Whoa. That's not working properly. All right, well, we'll not have a crowdsource the truth logo on this yet another software update. I'm here outside the Natural History Museum. As many people probably saw, somebody even sent to me, let's see if we're live here, somebody sent to me this tweet of workmen kind of removing the Teddy Roosevelt statue. But the interesting thing is that tweet was fake news because there is the statue right there. It's still here. So I'm glad I came up here to take a look. The statue is not yet gone. Definitely that Twitter report and other news that had picked up on it caused me to believe that the statue had been taken down. I got here just they went inside. Well, I got here a few minutes ago and I was speaking with a security guard who was just on a cigarette break, one of these mask-off cigarette breaks, who said that they're going to remove it. And he didn't know when. When I pressed him with the question, I asked him, how did he know they were going to? He said he got an email that said they were going to. And I asked him who the email came from. He said it was the head of security. So, as I pressed him for details, it seemed possible that the email might have been, sort of similar to the tweet that I saw. Someone anticipating that they were going to remove it. Somebody saying there's been a lot of commentary alleging they would remove it. But, as of right now today, what is it, the 17th of September, Teddy Roosevelt remains standing there. The security guard that I spoke to was a black guy, and he said that he grew up in New York and he's come to the museum and that he liked the statue. He didn't feel a personal problem from it, and that he liked the museum in general. Do you guys mind if I talk to you for a second? What do you think about the statue? They're talking about removing it. Do you think they should remove it?
I wouldn't know why.
Well, because they're saying that Teddy Roosevelt, pictured with an African man and a Native American, is racist.
Christopher Columbus is a lot worse, to be honest,
But isn't it true? That's the history. It might be ugly.
It's founded on racist history. And us African Americans, we did build this country. We were sidekicks to a lot of important monumental figures, per se. So
we can still learn from it, right?
I feel so. Different presidents, they had different ways, they had different theories, and I guess it's up to you to determine how much this impacts your life in a way, and knowing the history and doing your own research and knowing the foundation of America as a country, And so if it's removed, then that can definitely send a message, but that doesn't mean that the people will receive the message in a sense, and you could think that it's just Americans or people complaining about this is supposed to be freedom of speech and different amendments and everything.
But let me ask you this. If they remove it, I think we agree. There are ugly aspects. Do you mind if I have you on camera? I think we agree. There are ugly aspects to American history, but if we just take it away, that's hiding history. Why don't they change the sign and maybe teach somebody?
We shouldn't hide history. Us removing what makes America quote unquote great, that's not gonna erase what has happened thousands of hundreds of years. So it's I guess it couldn't be replaced with something a bit more monumental, more historical figures who have helped African Americans in a sense.
But what if the statue is not about helping African Americans? It's about Teddy Roosevelt, who put a lot of the stuff in the museum.
And it is a nice museum, but
if you were in charge of the museum and you could decide, what would you do with this statue? Leave it, get rid of it and put something new, or change the sign to educate people about what this statue means in 2020?
It's a good question, because I feel education is important, and the more that we learn, the more that we can eradicate things that have happened in the past. And while I guess it's one of those things where it's you have to learn to separate the art from the person in a sense, and know that while the person may not have the creed or portrayal that is the most positive, they did help in a sense, and it shows that while even though they knew what we were doing was maybe wrong, they still had a vision, and they still wanted to procure what was more important. Even you think of Abraham Lincoln, he quote unquote freed the slaves in the Emancipation Proclamation, but he still had good intentions in a sense. So it's it's important to know the person with like their vision, make sure that they don't have like malintentions in a sense. As long as like you are aware and you're educated and you're not ignorant to like cultures and like the different things that happen, it's good to like use your voice and use your platform as a president to bring out that information and share it with others. And what people decide to do with it, it's kind of up to them. And it's important to stay educated, you know, with these different things, because you know, different eras, people weren't thinking like as progressive as you are now in a sense.
And then, did I see you guys coming out of the museum? Were you in there
Oh
today?
yeah, definitely.
How did you like it?
And we barely got to see anything. I feel like I was only there for like 10 minutes and it just snapped like that. But it's just so beautiful. We looked at like dinosaurs and like different African culture and like pottery, and all that stuff is very important too. And I wish that like more funding needs to definitely be put into that type of stuff, but I hope that it's by, I'm not gonna say like better people, but people with like better, like who don't have like such like a dark history behind them. Even though it is important because it brings us to like, you know, like a brighter future.
But it's also good that you or anybody can come here and learn about it, right?
Definitely, these are stuff that I would never know on my own. So it's like it's kind of like a double-edged sword in a sense.
It is, because the security guard was telling me that there's people who are protesting from South America and from African nations that this stuff is even here. They say it's been stolen from those countries.
Oh yeah, definitely. If you even watch like, you know, Rest in Peace Chadwick, you know, like a lot of those artifacts and like jewelry, pots, pans, weapons, they were stolen from indigenous people in countries, raped and pillaged their land for this to bring to America. And while it is important for us to know that information, at what cost?
Right.
You know, there has to be some type of more ethical, humanitarian way for us to be able to share the knowledge and culture, and maybe one day we'll find it, and I hope we do.
I hope we do. Yeah, I appreciate you stopping and talking to me. Your boyfriend's getting
Thank
annoyed.
you.
I'll see you later. Take
Thank
care.
You so much. Nice meeting you.
You too. Hey, if you want to watch it,
I want to ask you, like a YouTube.
yeah,
or...
Jason Goodman on YouTube. And if you have a Twitter, Crowdsource the Truth is the name of the show. Do you want to share your information? You don't have to. If you want people to look you up, you can. There's going to be a lot of people who will see this.
Definitely. Can I get your username?
Yes, this is live right now on Crowdsource the Truth too, but just look for Jason Goodman. That'll get right to me, and then it'll be on there later tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Have a good day. That was really interesting, and I like getting the insight from people on the street. Everybody has their own opinion of what should happen to the statue of Teddy Roosevelt, and it's not an easy... See, there's an idiot on a skateboard. You know, and then people say, oh, but people should skateboard. No, there's little kids over here, old ladies can walk around here. That guy doesn't know what he's doing. If he did, he would be skateboarding in the skate park. Look at this dog. What a nice dog. People will know what kind of dog that is, but I don't. Australian something? Sheepdog? So there we go. The security guard was telling me, as I mentioned to that young lady, that people inside the museum were protesting the museum because they, as I said, they felt the stuff was stolen. Now I've got the comments with me today, so let's see what do people watching think about the statue? Should it be removed? I don't hate skateboarders. I hate skateboarders who skateboard on the sidewalk because it demonstrates that they think they can do whatever they want, wherever they want. They don't care about other people. See, let's talk about that. We've got an entire country, including an idiot who's the governor of this state, talking about how you need to change your behavior because it might put other people's health at risk. And all I'm saying is, I have personally been crashed into by a skateboarder on the sidewalk in New York City, resulting in my scaphoid bone being split in half, and it's now screwed together with a piece of titanium that sometimes causes me pain. So I don't see why they want everybody to wear a mask to try to prevent a disease that they obviously know nothing about at best, because they keep changing what they're telling you to do. But yet, why haven't they made smoking cigarettes in public illegal? Anybody who smokes a cigarette near me is risking my health. Anybody who rides a skateboard on the sidewalk is risking my health. They should just make a big skate park in New York City and say all skateboarders go to that skate park and start handing out tickets to these guys. Hey, we were just talking about Abraham Lincoln, and there he is. I think Jimmy Moriarty would say, up jumps the devil. Now, so there's a new software. Yeah, there's something weird going on. You can see this is supposed to be an overlay that is intended to encourage people to subscribe to subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth, and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. But there's been an iOS update and an update to the software that I use to broadcast, and I'll have to figure out why that's not working anymore. But I've been talking a lot about the Emmy Awards lawsuit, because it's pretty shocking. The National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences is suing me, and they don't want me to talk about it. They've already put into the lawsuit that I've made broadcasts talking about the fact that the father of the president and CEO of the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences is a guy named Roger Sharp, who was a journalist who reported from the Dallas police station that Lee Harvey Oswald shot JFK. Now, a lot of people have a lot of opinions about that JFK shooting. I personally think there's a lot of evidence that indicates that Lee Harvey Oswald did not shoot JFK, but I don't think you win Emmy Awards for talking about that. You win lawsuits from the Emmy Awards when you challenge the mainstream, whether it's about Lee Harvey Oswald shooting, whether it's about Hani Hanjour and Mohammed Atta, who barely got their pilot's licenses on a Cessna. If you think that those guys are able to fly jets way beyond their performance specifications and hit targets that are slightly larger than the jet themselves, you can't question that, because then you're a conspiracy theorist. If you think that the Las Vegas shooting happened exactly the way they told us, that it makes perfect sense that one guy would have 27 guns or whatever it is, shoot all those people. There's blinking strobe lights hovering in the sky that don't appear on Flight Radar 24. That's totally normal. I mean, who is the conspiracy theorist here? Is it the people like the Emmy Award winners like Rachel Maddow, who have been telling us for years now that Donald Trump worked with Russia to hack the election and hack the DNC and all this? No evidence of that. They're talking about a conspiracy between some Russians and Donald Trump, but there's no evidence that they presented, just a theory. That sounds like a conspiracy theory to me. So we'll see what happens with this lawsuit. It's interesting to see the people who are rooting for me to get sued. What was I calling him? B.O.G., the brother of George? Some people will know who that is. That's funny. That girl was wearing a mask that consisted of, what do you call those things? Those like bedazzle things? Hey, Adam. That looks just like him. I wonder if that was him. But it was like sapphires, I guess you'd call them. They were just like hanging down. I don't think that's going to block anything. I don't mind. I don't think people should be wearing masks. But actually, I'm not telling people not to wear masks. I just think John Cullen said to me this morning that he's wearing 2 cloth coverings over his derriere. And yet when flatulence occurs, you still smell it. I know people have heard that before and it's mildly disgusting, but basically what he's getting at is if those particles can get through the cloth. Maybe that girl feels uncomfortable walking down the street on the speakerphone, but now everybody knows that her friend is doing something with her wedding. Cullen raises an excellent point. If those particles can make it through 2 cloth layers, what is the mask doing? We saw it for people who were watching Donald Trump's town hall with George Snuffleupagus on ABC the other day. There was a woman who asked this question that started with her statement that masks have been proven to prevent the virus or prevent the spread of the virus. Where have we seen that? I haven't seen it proven. I've seen multiple studies that say that they don't do that. I've seen lots of doctors who are saying that they block spittle from the doctor's mouth getting into an open wound of a patient during surgery. But I don't know. So yeah, the lawsuit. The lawsuit is all about an alleged copyright infringement, which I say is parody. And so far everybody who's seen it has agreed. Of course, it only matters what the judge thinks, but we're going to find out. I want to thank the people who have been supporting Crowdsource the Truth, sponsoring the show. You can now watch the live streams on crowdsourcethetruth.com. this screen captures from the other day. You're going to have this video live on there right now. And you can also help support the Counter Lawfare Fund. It's basically just a name for a sponsorship opportunity. The Counter Lawfare Fund is just money that will be used to run Crowdsource the Truth. Unfortunately, one of the ongoing operating expenses has been the time and now the money required to defend these lawsuits. See, the tricky thing that the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences refers to itself as NATAS, which people should note is Satan spelled backwards. That doesn't mean anything, but certainly if I had an acronym that spelled Satan backwards, I might notice that and change it because some people might object to it. They chose not to do that. Anyway, that doesn't matter. The point is, they're suing my corporation. And I think they're doing that specifically for the reason that it prevents me from defending pro se, which is what I've been doing for the past 3 years. I've been sued. People are aware of the public document, Steele v. Goodman, the former CIA, whatever he claims to be, who told Alex Jones that he believes that NASA has a colony of children on Mars. He sued me in 2017, sued Jason Goodman. George's brother sued Jason Goodman. And that wasn't working out well for those guys. So, I mean, again, these are not lawsuits that are intended to actually cure an injury. They are intended to prevent me from doing what I'm doing, like coming up to the museum and finding out if, in fact, that statue is going to be pulled down. We saw a very misleading Twitter video. I want people to really focus on this because this is perhaps a more important example than I realized it would be. We saw a video on Twitter, showed the statue. There's been a lot of chatter saying that that statue is coming down. The video showed construction-looking guys. They had hard hats and yellow vests and cones around it. I mean, it looked like they were going to saw the thing down. I actually spent a considerable amount of time looking for additional video to try to see it actually removed. And when I couldn't find that, that's why I came up here, because a lot of people were left with the feeling that the statue was gone. I think I even saw some mainstream news outlets picking up the Twitter video saying that it was to be removed. And then, I mean, again, I want the definitive answer. If that security guard told me, yeah, the president of the museum or the chairman of the board of the museum or the museum foundation sent an official email to everybody saying that it's coming down, October, whatever, then I'd be convinced it's coming down. What I heard sounded like a guy who got an email from somebody who, like everybody else, presumed that the decision has been made to take it down. Obviously, there's some controversy there, and there are people who want it taken down, but I think there's other people who don't want it taken down. The statue itself has some history. So Man for All Seasons says Jason is a veritable magnet for lawsuits. And then Cressy says defund the BBC. See, I agree with that. I think what we're figuring out here is that there's a connection between a lot of these things. You know, BBC America, they win Emmys all the time. That show that David Hawkins likes, Killing Eve, that won an Emmy, and that's a show about assassins, ex-MI6 people doing something. I've never seen the show, but I know it's winning Emmys. Eaters of Children, Corky Goss is talking about. Well, that's the other thing. We've got Netflix producing that show Cuties. I mean, frankly, without even watching the show, the poster in and of itself, how can anyone think that that's appropriate? And then arguing against people that, oh no, it's good, you should let 11-year-olds be in sexual movies and, you know, keep pushing the age down of how sexualized children are portrayed and whatever. I mean, it goes back to the John Benet Ramsey thing. Somebody sent me a video. Who was it? I think it was Maddie, who is a Crowdsource the Truth sponsor over on Subscribestar and Patreon. And Maddie is frequently in the comments on Discord. Actually, Discord is a benefit that sponsors of the Counter Lawfare Fund receive. Anyway, Maddie sent me a video saying that Katy Perry is John Benet Ramsey. I'm not convinced. I don't think that's correct. There was an autopsy of John Benet Ramsey. There are multiple death photos of John Benet Ramsey. And the evidence presented in this video that claimed that Katy Perry was somehow John Benet Ramsey, not compelling. I don't think that's correct. That sounds like a wild theory. I don't even like to use the word conspiracy theory because that doesn't even necessarily allege a conspiracy. That's just saying that, it could be. Anyway, I don't know. Look at this. Kind of interesting. So I'm on a bit of a long walk here. I mean, it's interesting. I'm just kind of talking to myself on these walks, which is why it's good to have the comments. What do people think about this Emmy lawsuit? There's daily updates, or nearly daily updates, from a blog that purports to be news, but it's actually just a disinformation site intended to agitate. And we're learning much more about how this process works. There's a lot of interesting things to see just kind of around on the street in New York City. This is a really interesting, who knows about motorcycles? New Jersey, long tailpipes there. Huh. North Carolina plates. Look at all these out of state plates. North Carolina, kind of far. I had a conversation on my way up here on the subway with a woman who was an esthetician, and then here's the Society for Ethical Culture, totally unrelated. But that was a pretty interesting conversation. I like to run the camera even when I'm not live, when I'm outside, just because if anything crazy happens, I feel like there's some possibility that it might leave some evidence there. And if it's a cool video, I tend to put them out on subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. Boy, that's annoying that it is kind of whiting out the whole screen when I try to bring up the sponsorship bug there. So another thing that was brought up, we've got Thomas Tyson saying they sued the company just to make me spend more money. Well, that's just it. It wasn't to make me spend money. I think they're doing it because they recognize that it presents a significant challenge. I can be pro se for free. If I don't have the money to hire a lawyer, I lose the lawsuit. And that's important. See, I want people to learn from this stuff to help themselves. Like when you get sued by somebody, I'm not going to tell anybody what to do, and I'm certainly not a lawyer. I can't give legal advice. But a lot of people say, oh, the courts are rigged. And I've said a couple times now that I just don't like that statement, not because I disagree with it, but because it's so simplified, and it just doesn't explain anything about it. And I mean, I don't agree with it. I don't think they're rigged. There obviously are cases of corruption in any system at all. But I think there are a lot of people who become lawyers and judges and work at the courts because they want law and order and they want a society that runs in an organized way. I think the bigger problem is that it's a complicated bureaucracy and there's a lot of rules. And you can't go in there telling them that this is not a legitimate court and you have a fringe flag, so this is admiralty law and I'm a sovereign citizen and you have no power over me. Who's Adele Sr.? Hey. Police stuff. That guy looks real unhappy. What is going on over here?
Oh, you have it in there? Yeah, I mean, you can put it in the back.
Yeah, some heavy-hitting security guys. This is a Trump building right here. Trump International, whatever. Anyway, I mean, the point is, it's a complicated process, it's a bureaucracy, and there's a complicated set of rules. And to succeed, you need to understand the rules and you need to play by them. So, even though I really dislike this notion that I can't appear pro se, I think it's unfair. I mean, it's kind of like too bad. Deal with it. You know, if you sit down to play chess with someone and they're playing chess and you play by the rule of checkers, you're just not going to be able to win. This guy just almost hit me on the bicycle. Riding a bicycle on the sidewalk. This is a Trump International Globe. Maybe the Emmys should sue that. It looks kind of similar to the atom being held by their winged statue. So this is a Time Warner building. We've been over here many times. Charles and I, we got the CNN thing up there. Christopher Columbus still perched atop his pole, hanging out. That guy has a sign there that says he needs weed. Well, there's definitely more activity happening now, so I guess we are somewhat getting back to whatever is going to be considered normal in the future. I don't like that they call it the new normal. It's the new abnormal. Those guys are from Pennsylvania in a demolition derby car. Drew Barrymore's show is coming. That's good. Maybe it'll win an Emmy. One of the components of the lawsuit is the Emmy Awards don't even want me to be able to ever talk about the Emmys in the future. They want to enjoin me from discussing these things. Isn't that interesting? Oh wait, look at that. They still do have the police there. I guess there's an ongoing threat to the Christopher Columbus. And taxis are back. There was a pretty long while where there were just no taxis around, and certainly no taxis over here. Not really seeing lines. This is a Whole Foods down in there. There's a gigantic mall inside this place. You can see Williams-Sonoma. And there's a Whole Foods in there, but no lines, so I guess that's good. Back to comments. Let's see what people say. Virginia Dare says God made weed, and Frank Quarters says don't smoke Satan. So we've got a lot of varying opinions there. Pro Bono Rittenhouse? I don't know what that's about. Yeah, there's a whole conversation going on here in the comments. Soldier of God says 90% of lawsuits are frivolous. Well, I mean, that may be. I don't know. I haven't examined 90% of lawsuits. And I mean, I think there's a particular definition for frivolous versus strategic. I think what's going on with this lawsuit, it's a strategic lawsuit. By suing the corporation rather than the person, that's a strategic, that's a legal strategy that they're employing to prevent me from defending myself. That guy was about to yell at me for, recording him, but I think he realizes he's standing in the middle of the street and there's really nothing he can do. And the more he yells at me, the more he's going to get on camera. So it's good that that was deflected, but it's a strategic maneuver that they believe will prevent me from defending myself and allow them to use their money to bully me, to get me to do what they want, irrespective of the fact that the law does not agree with them and the facts do not agree with what they want them to be. Jeep Dog says defund Cuomo and de Blasio. I agree with that. Robert Stahl says marijuana is the cause for this DNA destruction. Right, and I know, obviously not. MK says, why don't you get Dutch, since he would be a brilliant guest. That doesn't make sense, and I don't know who Dutch is. So it's definitely busier out. You have to stop at, don't walk signs now sometimes. Oh, back to selling hats. That's good. Better than masks. Oprah Magazine is advertising something. I don't know what building this is right here. Oh, it's the Hearst building. See, so this is interesting. All these William Randolph Hearst, he was a publishing giant who the movie Citizen Kane was all about. I can't say that I know that much about William Randolph Hearst, but there's all these media moguls like Robert Maxwell and Rupert Murdoch and Barry Diller. Who's Barry Diller? We haven't spoken about him that much. Barry Diller is the head of Interactive Corp. So here's what I wanted to tell everybody. There's been a bit of a disruption to Vimeo. Who knows why that would have happened? Vimeo is the video service, it's the alternative to YouTube that I use to drive the sponsor exclusive videos on subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. I bet you that stupid thing will be nominated for an Emmy. Anything against Trump gets nominated for an Emmy, and anything that's trying to expose lies or corruption gets hassled. So Vimeo did not like the Ole Damagard Cody Snodgrass video talking about 9/11. They didn't tell me what about it they didn't like. They just said, you're not allowed to refer to mass casualty events as a hoax. But I don't think we did. I didn't say it was a hoax. I don't think I ever used the word hoax except when I'm talking about the bomb hoax that was planned by the people who have been trying to sue me for it and things related to it since then. What do you know about this skyscape thing? Look at the plants up there. It's kind of an outdoor garden. Yeah, so, back 2 years ago or whatever, 3 years ago, when these social engineers started hassling me, striking the YouTube videos, because this is what they do. YouTube is a pretty soft target for them to hit and try to, take me out. When you make being on YouTube your full-time job and people know what kind of, gets YouTube's underpants in a bunch, they can agitate that by complaining about videos and doing whatever. We could have a separate conversation about how YouTube shouldn't even be allowed to do that, but that's the type of thing that needs to be handled by new laws. If we had responsible Congress people who would propose legislation that might modernize the Communications Decency Act, Section 230, to recognize these online companies that are editing their content, if they would recognize them as publishers of content because they have editorial policies. And in the case of Twitter, according to Adam Sharp, CEO and president of the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences, former director of news, politics, and elections at Twitter for 6 years, starting in 2010, before the company went public, and going until 2016, that guy was over there at Twitter. And I was on a roll there. It's difficult to keep this going and have nobody that you're speaking to, but the point of the matter is, he is a social media expert. He's lectured all around the world about how politicians can use Twitter and other social media tools to impact the outcome of elections. He's spoken to British Parliament. That was 2016, I think. 2018, he gave a presentation about how Donald Trump became the most effective Twitter user in the world in 2016 and was giving advice as to how his opponents could defeat him. Seems like partisan political activity to me. It's not something that the president of a 501c3 is supposed to be engaged in, but perhaps there's something he knows about the arrangement of that I don't. My understanding of what's going on is that it could be a violation of the tax-exempt status or some sort of a problem for that, or him holding the position as CEO of that. But yeah, so here's what's interesting about Vimeo. It is part of this interactive corporation. And they don't think that you have the right to say something other than what we were told happened on September 11th. You have to, like the BBC, you have to absculta, listen and obey. You can't question it. You're not allowed to question it. Now, they own that network, so yeah, I guess it's arguable. Oh, Gotham Pizza, restaurant for lease. I guess arguably they can kick me off if they want, or shut down a video or whatever it is that they're trying to do. But this is something that we got to start paying more attention to. And everybody talks about the consolidation of media, 6 companies, run everything, blah, blah, blah. I think it's worse than that. Because I think when you start looking at the boards of directors and who the CEOs are, I mean, this guy, Barry Diller, he's in the Television Hall of Fame. That's part of the Academy of Television Arts and Sciences. He also is the co-founder of Fox News. So, I mean, I've been banging on Fox News, and also, remember, Fox News is now owned by News Corp, Rupert Murdoch, which also owns the New York Post, which I'm talking about all the time, the Wall Street Journal, where Shane Harris publishes his lies about the death of Peter W. Smith. We're talking about all of this. So is it reasonable to presume that these guys don't want me talking about this? I mean, some people might say, well, you know, Jason has this YouTube channel with 115,000 viewers and far fewer. Oh, I've been to that restaurant, Talia, and it's totally out of business. That's too bad. It's a huge place, and the rent's got to be real high, so it's not necessarily a surprise, but, you know, that's what we're seeing all over New York. Boy, that guy needs some sanitary conditions to get to. So there's really a small group of people who control a large amount of media. And then Cravath, Swain, and Moore sounds like a lawyer, like a law firm that these guys might hire. So, you know, the second you step out of line and do something that they don't like, even if it's within the context of the law and your rights, there's a lot of things that they can do, strategic moves that can be made, like this lawsuit, that they hope will stop people like me, or specifically me, from doing what I'm doing. So this is why it's important that the audience sponsor the show. Because it's true that as an individual, I don't have the money to hire a lawyer, and that's very expensive, and you know, we don't know. That's gonna get me another copyright from Genuine right there. But you know, it's hard to know how much it's going to cost. And I think that their hope is that I just won't be able to respond, and I'll lose the lawsuit by default, and I won't be able to talk about the Emmys, and I won't be able to ask the question of, you know, who were the specific journalists involved in the CIA's declassified Operation Mockingbird program. You know, if I talk about that, they tell me I'm a conspiracy theorist. But that was the CIA director, William Colby. He told the Senate, the Frank Church Committee hearing, Frank Church, his committee, had a hearing. Colby told them, we did this. He declassified Operation Mockingbird. According to William Colby, they were paying and otherwise influencing journalists to manipulate the news. What journalists were involved with that? William Colby told us it happened. He didn't tell us who was doing it. How can we find out? Do people in the audience know? I've looked for books about this. There aren't too many. And it's interesting because the other guy who was there with William Colby was George H.W. Bush. You can see him in a photograph. Google George H.W. Bush, William Colby, Church Committee, and you'll see Bush nervously nibbling on the temple of his glasses while they talk about this. And while they're questioned and they reveal that the CIA had a gun that could shoot a pellet that would give the target a heart attack. Can't not like that song. There's one of those souvenir gift places out of business. That I'm not surprised by. I'm actually surprised that any of them remain in business because there's been months with no tourists and all of that stuff is unnecessary junk. So it's my opinion that this lawsuit is not a legitimate lawsuit seeking to cure an injury, but rather a strategic legal maneuver intended to get me to bend to the will of the Television Academy because they don't like what I did. So we're going to see what's going to happen with that, but people who are interested in seeing Crowdsource the Truth continue rather than fold due to bankruptcy or pressure from outside sources, Union Square Hamburger for Elise. Why is it Union Square Hamburger if we're in Times Square? But people who are interested in seeing Crowdsource the Truth continue can become sponsors on patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth or subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth. I want to remind people that if you're watching on Patreon, don't use the Patreon app for iOS or Android. I mean, this goes back to Vimeo, right? I was using Vimeo because social engineers who wanted to shut down Crowdsource the Truth were doing everything they could to prevent the direct-to-sponsor, the direct-to-consumer business model. Remember, when you watch TV, what you're watching, the production of it, the broadcast equipment, the studio, the facility, all these huge salaries for Sean Hannity or Rachel Maddow or whoever you're watching, all of that gets paid by corporate sponsors. And look who owns these huge corporations. They sit on boards of this or that. If you do something they don't like, they've got, vast abilities to do things behind the scenes where you don't know who they are, you don't know who is involved with these different companies and whatnot. But I started using Vimeo because they kept hitting the YouTube videos and shutting me down and stopping me from putting out anything, let alone making any money. And look, they tried to capture everybody with that same model. When they initially came out with advertising on YouTube, it was a boon. There was a time, 2000, when? I don't know, 10, whatever it was, that they heard like, hey, such and such kid is making $1 million a year from being on YouTube, and people couldn't believe it. And then it became sort of normal. Obviously, yeah, people are putting videos on YouTube, ads go on the videos, people watch the videos. The more people watch, the more the advertisers pay, and there you go. But then what happened? People who were putting out independent news, independent journalists who wanted to create news channels on YouTube, if they started talking about things that they didn't like questioning the World Health Organization, questioning the outcome of, look, there's a protest. Questioning the outcome of mass casualty events, that's no good. So then they could pull your advertising and demonetize you and control you that way. They could stop you from talking about stuff because if you earn your money putting out YouTube videos and they cut off the money, obviously you're out of business. So I found a way around that. I created Crowdsource the Truth, direct to consumer on subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. And now, with this removal of the Vimeo video, we're seeing the first attacks against that. So I want to encourage people who are already sponsors, please do not withdraw your sponsorship. Now is the time to dig in more. And I want to reassure everyone that I am taking measures to abandon Vimeo because this is unacceptable. So let's see what's going on with this protest. It's loud, but small. Now, they're blocking the street, and I don't see any police. I don't think that's allowed. So maybe it's not permitted. Oh, it smells terrible over here. So how does it work? You guys are blocking the street and then move forward, and is this like permanent? Are the cops with you?
I'm not sure. I just joined.
So how does it work? You guys are blocking the streets?
I don't know. I'm just some guy. I don't know.
The police are...
Everything I'm saying to you right now has been taught to me phonetically. I have no idea the English language. I don't know it.
That guy looks familiar right there.
Can you not film people without their consent?
What's the problem?
Can you not film people without their consent?
That's incorrect. You're in public. And by the way, you can't block the street without a police permit. You're intimidating me. Back up. You need to back up, dude, right now. You gotta back up. Back up. Do not advance on me.
What's your plan? To tase people?
I'm just telling you to stop advancing.
Nobody's doing anything. You're just disrupting a march.
I'm not disrupting shit. I just asked you a question. You advanced on me in a threatening way. Good trouble. Why don't you show me your face? It's good. What's your name?
Bob.
Bob? What's your last name?
Billy Bob.
Billy Bob? I believe it. So I'm not allowed to walk? Do you control this sidewalk? So get out of my way. What's your name, bro? Tough guy. Huh? What's your name? Look at what's going on here. See this? So I'm not allowed to walk in the street, but you guys are allowed to block it.
You can walk wherever you want.
Oh, I'd like to walk right here. Get out of my way. You're harassing me. Oh, you just hit me. That's assault. You guys are surrounding me. Why don't you guys get the fuck away from me? What's your name, lady? Stop following me, man. Hey, you just assaulted me, man. Why don't you get away from me, Billy Bob?
You're a child.
I'm a child. I'm a child. You're the asshole on the bicycle with all your friends blocking the street.
Maybe you got a job or something.
I got a job. Hey, so what is it that you want to achieve, Billy Bob, other than being an asshole? What's your goal? What's that? What's that? What's in the bag, Billy Bob? What do you guys hope to achieve?
Liberation.
Who's on the other end of the radio? What's that thing in your ear? Your team. Ah, so you're coordinated, huh? Do you have a permit to be here? I can talk to whoever I want. Get off the street. Well, you took your mask off, you dumb bitch.
Dumbass, put on a fucking mask.
You just hit my camera, dude. What's your name? Tell me your name. See, you guys are agitators. You guys are closing off the traffic. You're not wearing a mask. No, you're not wearing a mask.
That's a mask, dumb fuck.
Yeah, you just had it off and you're in my face.
Where is yours?
It's inside your ass, dumbass. Why should I get the fuck out of here? You should get the fuck out of here. Look at how you're advancing on me. You're intimidating me. This is assault.
All of them.
No, I was asking a question and I was filming them. Hi, are you here to intimidate? I just asked if there's a permit because they're blocking the street.
You don't need a permit.
You're not allowed to have a bicycle on the sidewalk. Hey, aren't you the guy who's the president of Black Lives Matter New York assaulting me? Aren't you the president of Black Lives Matter New York? Are you soliciting sex from me? What did you just tell me to do?
Keep the march moving forward.
Isn't that guy the president of Black Lives Matter New York? Isn't he? Who is that guy? Who is that guy? Trying to break my equipment? Dude, hey, listen. You better get the fuck away from me. You don't care. You don't care. Yeah, you got 200 of your asshole friends here. Oh yeah, that's what you think. Wait around, buddy. I'm not going to hit you. I'm not going to assault you like your criminal animals are doing.
Interrupt the march. That's it.
What are you saying? I can't hear you.
I'm just making sure you're not interrupting the march. That's it.
Oh, you mean the
I'm not gonna
unpermitted?
advance on you. Let's go. Sit up.
You guys are such great peaceful protesters, assaulting people who are asking you
We
questions.
assault you? No.
Yes.
No.
Striking my camera is assault.
No one assaulted you, bro.
Yeah, he did. How did the camera hit the ground, you dummies? Hey, listen, you guys are morons. Have fun being stupid. Take my picture. Take my picture. You guys are all going to jail. What a time for the taser battery to die. That's why the cops shoot. Okay? So hopefully the Department of Justice got some of those people's faces. What was that? Was that guy who hit the camera? What's his name who runs Black Lives Matter in New York? It kind of looked like him. We're going to figure out who that was, and I want to press assault charges on that guy. You can't just smack people's stuff and assault them and block the street. This is not a peaceful protest when you assault somebody. I'm chill. I was asking questions. Those guys surrounded me. What the hell happened to the battery here? I probably would have gotten killed if I had tased one of them. Oh man, this thing is totally out. So there you go. This has got to end. People got to go to jail. There's no police around. Bunch of thugs who think they can close down the street and attack anybody who questions them. You're not allowed to film them. Who instructed these brain-dead morons that you can't film someone without their consent? When you're out in public, particularly when you're involved in a protest, and a violent one, that's resulting in the destruction of the city, got every right to film you. In fact, I hope I got sufficient imagery for those people to be identified. How are these weed trucks everywhere? What the hell is going on with this? What is the NYPD doing? That's a protest. That cannot be a permitted protest. Blocking the streets. That's not the way that works. At rush hour. Those people have a purpose, and their purpose is to disrupt. They said they want a revolution. All right, fine. Then let's get the National Guard over here, and they can start it right now. My bet is with the National Guard. Those people are disrupting civilized society in New York City. They want to shut down the street. They want to break my equipment. They want to attack me. The fact that they surrounded me with those bicycles, I think that's assault because I felt threatened. Those guys were about to beat me up, and they were even taunting me, and some of them, that guy who swung his fists at me and hit my camera, that was assault. I think that was assault and battery. So I'd like to find out his identity and press charges. I think that guy needs to be brought to jail, and we need to figure out what his affiliation with that organization is, who's organizing that. They have radios. That's not peaceful protesters. These are organized agitators who are disrupting business in this city, at least, which is not peaceful. That is not a permitted protest. They are blocking people's ability to use the street. They can't just take a bunch of bicycles there. The cops should get over there and arrest every single one of them. Spray them with whatever you got to spray them with and arrest them. Take that to a park. Go to City Hall. They're doing it in the middle of Times Square because they want to prevent people from getting home. They don't care what they do to other people. These people aren't righteous. They're not trying to do anything for the right reason. They're selfish morons who are telling me to get a job. I hope I'm still broadcasting. Yeah, there we go. The cops won't, exactly, Sophie. The cops won't do anything. NYC is really bad, Nancy. I mean, here, Weed World is open. But don't get me wrong, I'm not against weed, but I don't understand how you could have a business selling something illegal and why this is open, and people who, I mean, that appears to be a dispensary, LA style, but how is it that people who are running normal businesses are all telling me they're going out of business and something that's illegal in this state is open? Okay, yes, I know, I got the comments going. Thank you, Thomas. It did continue broadcasting, so that's good. Yeah, hey, David Balfour saw me on David Knight. That was really generous of David to have me on the show, and thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed the appearance. I hope people will check that out on band.video. InfoWars, they've been real good to me, I have to say. I appreciate Alex Jones and everything that he's done to create that news outlet. Not easy. That would have been cool to tase one of those guys. I would have had to do some running, but I'm surprised they didn't dive on me after the taser didn't work. Yeah, it's real difficult for people to make a judgment about what a cop does in a split-second decision. There were a lot of people surrounding me there, and if I had lethal force and the authorization to use it, I certainly would have brought it out, told them to step down and step, you know, these guys think it's peaceful to have a 400-pound thug surround you and hold a bike up. I mean, that's an obvious threat. They're a gang of thugs intimidating people. That guy's not disrupting traffic to get his message out. A lot of eyeballs. Let's see who we got on this street here. Sketchball City. Now we're getting back to the spot where I was assaulted. So that's, I guess, the 5th assault since the pandemic began. You know what? This guy broke the stabilizer. It's vibrating now. Jackass. What was that video game? Defender. Smart bomb, that's what you need. You just hit the button and everybody around gets disintegrated. Oh no, it was the disintegrate button. Why haven't they invented a disintegrate button yet? 5G. Oh, wait a minute. The broadcast is definitely going to cut out over here. Huh. Well, let's try it. I mean, the last 3 times I walked right by here, it killed the broadcast. Let's see. Still broadcasting. It's this corner over here by 31st. And when I asked those guys what they were installing, they said it was 6G, but I think they were joking. This taxi line is back. I haven't seen that in a while. So there are attempts for things to get back to normal. Frankly, that makes that BLM protest in the middle of Times Square at rush hour even more objectionable because they're deliberately trying to disrupt. And if you couple that with intimidating people, a tip of the spear that's intended to intimidate anyone that asks you if you have a permit or, you know, what the deal is, they consider that harassing people. See, this guy's got the right idea. You bring 3 pit bulls and they're going to eat anybody. Maybe I should get 3 pit bulls and just sick each of them on one of those guys. I would love to watch a dog eat somebody. Huh. I guess I can walk by there and continue broadcasting now. So maybe it was some temporary stuff the police people. Looks like some repairs are being made to some buildings that perhaps were damaged or something. Oh, that restaurant is boarded up. Almost done with the live stream here. So basically, we've established that the Teddy Roosevelt statue is still there. Black Lives Matter is still protesting and disrupting, and they are saying they want a revolution. Rottweiler, sorry, not pit bulls. I don't know that much about dogs. Whatever. I think a Rottweiler could eat somebody too. Yeah, it would be good to have a dog. I just don't know anything about dogs. Like how to... Now, wait a minute. Look at this. Whoa, so this place is out of business. But we've got more of this eyeball imagery here. And this we've identified as looking a whole lot like the Oddfellows. Oh, wow. Is this place out of business? This place has been here for as long as I've lived here. Oh, man, this thing's not moving properly now. For rent. Modern Indian. This place is for rent as well. This, I think, was Japanese. Yeah, that's out of business. Liquor store's doing all right, I guess. This guy's not even tucking in. It's just right out in the middle of the sidewalk. Trained guard dog. Yeah, I mean, it's a good idea, but my apartment is tiny and it's a mess, and I just don't know how to take care of a dog. New York is back. Assault in broad daylight. Exactly. You know what? Honestly, I think I've been insulted in the, let's see, in the 30 years I've been living in New York City, I think I've been assaulted 6 times, with 5 of them occurring in the past, 6 months since the pandemic began. So there's that. Now, I don't know that we've been around this side of the FIT, whatever this is, art display. Let's take a look. I guess it's still in progress here. People are still painting this stuff. It's absolutely the best when they say, "Oh, where's your mask?" And they take off their mask to yell at you. And they say, "I'm wearing a mask, it's on my chin." Those guys are so stupid. But, there were people there who I think I recognized. That guy who smacked the camera out of my hands, Hawk Newsom, is that the guy's name? Was that him? I feel like that's the guy that we saw up at Columbus Circle. Knee down, fist up. I don't think so. Little Rock 9. Riding a bicycle on the sidewalk. So that woman would tell me to wear a mask, right? But she doesn't mind if she's risking other people's health and safety by riding a bike on a sidewalk. I want to know how many people get injured and suffer real and even long-lasting injuries from getting crashed into by bicyclists versus how many people have gotten any kind of viral infection from somebody who's not sick. It's overcast today, so I can't see that helicopter, but it sounds like it's right behind this building. Yeah, I mean, so you can see you got to kind of adhere to the don't walk signs now. I find myself missing the empty streets. Look at all those places out of business right there. This is my neighborhood. This is what that crowd caused, in part by intimidating people and making them want to stay in their apartments rather than go out and go to restaurants and go to businesses. The ongoing activities of those violent agitators, that was violence. That guy hit me. That guy committed assault. So that protest should be shut down right now because it's no longer peaceful. I don't think Martin Luther King was smacking people who he disagreed with. I don't think he was surrounding and intimidating people. All of these are the tactics of thugs and bullies. And I do not like bullies, whether their name is Adam Sharp or Hawk Newsom or whoever that guy was. It's gonna stop. It's gotta stop. It's gotta put an end to this. I hope that people will sponsor the show. Go over to Patreon and Subscribestar. Go to crowdsourcethetruth.com. Check out the Counter Lawfare Fund. You can do a lot of stuff with the Counter Lawfare Fund. I could hire a lawyer to sue the governor. Let's see what we can do. You know, you're going to get a 1-year subscription even with the lowest tier of the fund. It's actually a great deal. It's a discount. It's the only way to get a discount on an annual subscription. And there's a bunch of other gifts that you get with it. It's a great deal. I want to thank the people who have been signing up. If you have signed up prior to today and have not yet gotten your subscription, that shouldn't be the case. I think I've fulfilled all except for the ones that might have been happening while I was out. So if 24 hours passes and you haven't received an email about your annual subscription to Crowdsource the Truth on Subscribestar.com, please email me on truth@crowdsourcethetruth.org. There's more than one helicopter. What are those guys up to? Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good night.